moment, and kind of where we fit in is really that interplay between what is happening at a site and what we're able to do in the energy market or to enhance the use of energy within the site. And so that can cover things like electrification. It can cover things like how do we incorporate battery storage, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in between. Now the specific program that we're talking about tonight is this emergency reserve program, and I think it's a good topic just to firstly give you an idea of what's going on in the energy market. There's a lot of the energy market's crying out for reserves at the moment, and also just give you an introduction of kind of the broader product suite that we have at PowerSync. So by way of introduction, as Trevor said, my name's David Naismith, CEO and founder at PowerSync. My background is actually 2008. I started a solar business, so I've been in the space for quite some time. We grew that to the largest in the C&I sector, so a lot of commercial, industrial customers, warehouses, kind of large energy users. We also had a distribution business. Cliff, my colleague here, worked with me there. That business was acquired by AGL in 2021, so spent some time at AGL and really, I guess, firmed up the idea that we had around, it's all well and good having these assets sitting there predicated on today's energy bill, but what's going to happen in the energy market in the future? And the only way you can keep up with that is having the technology to do so. And I guess if you look at what's happened in the market, two things have enabled what we're doing. One is the energy market regulations have changed with the introduction of the integrated system plan that the energy market operator put out in 2022. And basically that opened up a two-sided market. So had a number of methods for people to bring their embedded generation into the market and get a return on it. And the other thing was obviously, the leaps and bounds in technology. So when we're making decisions about what we're doing at a site or how to use capacity in the energy market, there's a bunch of machine learning sitting behind that. So in very simple terms, broadly what we do is looking at a site, looking at the energy usage, and if there's any embedded generation. It could be a diesel generator. I mean, we can take diesel generators into the grid and get a return through the market. It's not the most, not from an ESG standpoint, most businesses are shying away from that, but also we might be able to couple that diesel gen set with a battery such that it's much more reliable, and we can set up a microgrid at the site on that basis. So there's still some usage in terms of the backup generator, but the real thing we're trying to achieve is being able to provide backup to the site. Now, when the battery's not being used for that, we're able to trade it into the energy market, and the energy market at the moment needs fast response assets. So with the introduction of renewables into the energy market, large solar farms, wind, those sorts of things, these are what we call intermittent supply. So when the wind stops blowing, as we've seen recently, and there's cloud cover over a solar farm, a very large solar farm, we have all these frequency deviations in the market. And so that's where battery storage kicks in. So if you have a battery sitting at your site, this is all seamless via the technology. It will call on that battery to fix the frequency. Now the actual use case in that is extremely low compared to the overall battery capacity that we generally have in place, but the payments for those services are very high, because as soon as you muck up the frequency in the energy market, the whole market goes out. So there's some very good payments that we're seeing for that, and also simple things like wholesale market arbitrage, where we're able to fill the battery when prices are low or negative, and then we dispatch it when prices are higher. So looking at the site, we say, well, what's the energy footprint look like? What existing energy embedded generation is there, or flexible loads? Some sites, large machinery, we can switch a load off when the grid is asking for demand to drop, and we can get paid for those sorts of things. So we're matching that energy and capacity at the site with the most valuable value stream or market, and that's going to then deliver revenue from the market and cost savings on bill. So just one more slide on kind of what we do. So really it's taking you probably heard of virtual power plants. We don't like the terminology so much because I think it is used quite loosely. But taking these latent individual assets like solar, existing loads at the site, EV charging's coming in, as I mentioned, the diesel gen sets, and then putting it into a mix and saying, well, how do we extract the most value out of that? And that can be behind what we call behind the meter savings. So these are savings that you see on the bill. The savings, the bill is your energy bill is generally made up of obviously energy or kilowatt hour costs, and then you've got all of the kind of the kilowatt costs, which or the power costs, which are the network charges, environmental charges, and in particular demand charges. So we're able to use batteries and flexible generation to keep the demand at the site down below a certain level, so you don't leap into that next level for demand charges. And then when we're not doing that, we're taking that capacity into the market to get the most value from that. So tonight we're here to talk about specifically about the emergency reserve, and so basically there's two parts to it, and the Australian Energy Market Operator, who runs by the National Energy Rules, has to do this every year. It's a very defined process in terms of what, once they work out what their unserved energy profile looks like, i.e. when are we going to run out of energy, they then have to immediately trigger a procurement program into the emergency reserve. And it runs across two areas, which first one is the interim reliability reserve, which is effectively a scheduled and contracted amount of generation that you're prepared to offer up, or demand response you're prepared to offer up in the event of an emergency reserve event. And then the other one is short notice, where basically you get the call, you can say yes or no. So it's just getting yourself into the program to say, yeah, I can possibly do something, let me know when there's an event, I'll make a decision at the time. And I'll talk a little bit more about each of these. So as I mentioned, the interim reliability reserve is a firm commitment. The RERD is the viable opt-in program, variable opt-in program. So I guess the big thing here is it is a really good indicator of what's going on in the energy market and what's to come in the energy market. So the forecast period that the procuring for is over 3 years, and I've got a slide here which will really kind of drive home we're in for a very rough ride here. So bid increments are in 10 megawatts. You don't have to bid in 10 megawatts. That's what we do. Commonly termed an aggregator, so we basically aggregate loads from various entities to make up 10 megawatt blocks, and then we bid that into the market with AHIMO. So if there's a megawatt there, ideal. If it's less than a megawatt, we might be able to comprise it with other assets within our portfolio. So firstly, just looking a bit deeper at the Interim Reliability Reserve, the IRR, it was established in 2020 with all of the rule changes going on. Before that, it was simply, they relied on picking up the phone, can you do something, yes, no. But this was a more, structured approach to being able to bank some capacity. Procurement, as I mentioned, is over a 3-year period. The process is, registration is in July of each year. There is a test that takes place. We handle all the administration of the testing. So basically you say, yes, I can give up a megawatt. I can turn this piece of machinery off, or plant, or HVAC, probably not. Whatever it is where we get able to get that capacity from. In September, we come in and do a structured test on that to show the market operator that we are fit for purpose to be able to respond. And then the contracts usually go contracted in the January of the following year. So, and then what eventually happens is, if there is an issue, the signals flow through to us, and we are able to, through our technology, generally we like it seamless, so we can operate the load flex automatically, or alternatively we can go back to things as simple as a text message into a SCADA system, or whatever suits in terms of being able to get that messaging and operation happening. Under this, you're getting around it's kind of a subscription fee. So current bidding looks at around $200,000 per megawatt. And it's $200,000 per megawatt, and you are very unlikely to get called. So I think in the IRR, the number of calls on the IRR last year was a handful, and basically once they've filled once they've filled the requirement, then everyone else on the list still gets their subscription fee and doesn't have to do anything. So they're generally after, obviously, the big chunks first. So it's a very lucrative space if you are able to offer up some flexibility to the energy market. And so this is what I meant. Sorry, just go back on that one, Cliff. So you can see in 2023, when the procurement schedule came out, they were after 306 megawatts in total. 2024 is out currently. New South Wales, they didn't expect to require any scheduled generators to come in under the IRR, and you can see it growing to 1.2 gigawatts of requirement in FY27. So this tells you FY25 is going to be a bad year. 26 is terrible, and that continues into 27, which fits into what's happening in the energy market. What we're seeing, wind farms aren't being approved fast enough, solar farms aren't being approved fast enough. Firming with that batteries is not happening. So this is the energy market, state of the energy market. It's increased within 1 year tenfold in terms of the IRR requirements. So, and this is all the things we're seeing, obviously, in the energy market at the moment on our platform. So the next slide on the reserve trader, this is, I guess a much simpler system. There's no obligation on you other than to, say, yes, I can. It's likely that I can drop load by a certain amount, and it's an intervention mechanism by the Australian Energy Market Operator. There's a bundle of rules that sit around this. Basically, they have 3 levels. And those levels, they're called LORs 1, 2, and 3, and it's a lack of reserve. So when they look at it and they go, okay, we're in an LOR 1 situation, we need to ring around and make sure that these guys are ready to go. So that's the pre-activation phase, and you get paid for pre-activation. So, if you're looking at a stable market, runs at around $120 a megawatt hour or 12 cents a kilowatt hour. If you say yes, for the kilowatt hours you're expected to dispatch at the pre-activation stage, you can get up to $60,000 a megawatt hour, right? So it's an enormous payment, and then when you activate, you get that again when you're actually in the market producing electricity into the market. Who pays? Everyone pays. So you pay on your bill. So if this happens in the market, user pays, and user is all businesses. So you'll see on your energy bill, if you take a look tomorrow, there is a RERT line in there for exactly this mechanism. So what's happened in the last couple of years, again, this is a really interesting one, 21, 22, $130 million was paid under the RERT. Now this is straight out of Energy Market Operator reporting. 2020, FY23, it was 2 million. So what was happening? February, high temperatures, extreme demand. Well, no surprises there. February 23, high temperatures, extreme demand. So it's just happening over and over and over again. So these things that are triggering these really high price events, which is what we love on our platform broadly, but certainly as a result of RERT, the RERT scheme is happening over again and again, pointing to this instability in the market. Now, June 2022, you remember, the war in the Ukraine, high commodity prices, everything went crazy, and the market actually shut down. So, the energy price went to $15,500 a kilowatt hour. In the wholesale market, the market operator came in and capped it at $300 a megawatt hour and said, I'm taking control of the market. What did that do? Okay, so you've got all these massive payments for RERT into end of June, and then beginning of the financial year, July 2022, again, it's still impacting high commodity prices, but then you've got reckless bidding. So you've got the energy market operator shut the market off, but then you've got generators holding back generation because they want to play the market and say, well, actually, you shut me down at 300 a megawatt hour, I'll get my own back here. So it's a really imperfect market that we're experiencing at the moment, and I guess that's where these opportunities come from. And RERT's been around for I think 2 or 3 decades now. Before the summer of 2017, it had been only called upon 3 times in 20 years. And now it's happening all the time. Total costs up to that period was a total of $5 million, and now we're playing anywhere up to $130 million in that market. So the benefits, I mean, clearly there's financial benefits, and it's low impact to the extent you can handle the operational impact of turning off loads if required. And the good thing is you're the first to know. So, you know, mostly people don't know what's going on in the energy market until there's a major problem, whereas, you know, you're getting the advice in terms of what's happening the whole way through. And obviously from a you know, environmental, social consideration, it's you're helping the energy market, so by offering demand. So the biggest problems of the energy market is uncontrolled demand, which is what's causing all these major price events, and the intermittency of supply. How do we fix that? We get businesses to say, yeah, I could put my hand up and shed a couple of megawatts if required. And we have, you know, firming assets such as batteries coming into the renewable space. How to participate? Obviously, there's some contact details here. There is a brochure, so if you contact us, I can send this out. It's got a bit more information on it. And I think, I guess just in summary, yeah, 2 programs. One's contracted, so a firm commitment, and you're getting effectively paid a subscription fee for that. The other one is bidding capacity into the market if you're called upon. Subscription date is, we have to be subscribed into AIMO, I think, around the 20th of July, so we've wound that forward back to 10 July for the current round. And then, you know, I guess our technology is able to do this in an automated way. Equally, we're able to look at, you know, any sort of capacity, any sort of generation at a site and manage that through our technology as well. So that was it. Do we have any questions, comments?
We do. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go for it.
Excellent. Thank you for that. We've got hotels with backup generators.
Mm.
The 5-star properties, the bigger the generator, really. I know of one hotel which is the generator can sustain the whole building. So the cost for diesel to run that generator, how does that work with going into the RERT program or the contracted?
Yeah. So you're responsible for the operation of the asset and the cost of running the asset. Obviously, we take into account that marginal cost, but you effectively know, well, particularly for the IRR, you know how much you're going to get paid for turning it on if you have to turn it on, so you can compare that to your cost of operating. And for the RERT program, you know, the prices are just, you know, through the roof. So I think where there's a generator, a large generator capacity, that's best in the RERT program, because there's no obligation there's no testing requirements. It's just, yeah, I can start a generator if, you know, the market needs it and get paid, you know, per megawatt hour in those sort of $60,000 megawatt hour rates. So generators are very, very good for the RERT program.
So
just as a kind of price comparison, most commercial generators in the kind of, you know, few hundred kilowatts to a few megawatt range, the cost at current market rates for diesel would be about $400 to $500, well, $300 to $500 per megawatt hour, and the minimum payment in the RERT or IRR would be around $18,000 per megawatt hour. So you're well and truly covered.
Yeah.
There'd be some, obviously, you'd have also some costs internally with staff to operate that, but you'd be well and truly covered. Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good answer. Running a generator, let's say, I think it's about 700 kV. How long would if you were requested to jump on and the call came in and you start the generator up, what's the sort of average time frame to run?
Yeah, have you got a better read?
Yeah, typically 4 hours.
Okay.
But is the kind of the rough block we would say. It's obviously very dependent on the specific circumstances on the day. But yeah, 4 hour block. So you need about 4 hours.
Yeah, I think in the very expensive events, I think the longest was about 6 hours they were running.
And that depending on...
And that was extreme, that was extraordinary.
Yeah, depending on the conditions of the climate, whatever the call is.
Yes, yeah.
Because that would be our biggest problem, I suppose, and everyone would agree. Our generators are there for a backup. They're not acoustically lined that well, so guests can hear them and feel them.
Yeah.
when they're running. So
And I think that's the thing. So it's like you're able, if they're asking for 6 hours, you can say, oh, I can give you, 700 kVA for an hour. That's all, part of the process.
Okay,
They're basically just going through the list, trying to aggregate the capacity when they've got to and they always overshoot, and then they know what's available. And this is usually about anything up to a week out. They're giving you advice.
Okay.
And then they call you again if you dispatch. So I think it's been activated. You get activated. You get called, obviously more than you get activated. So you may get called maybe 3 times and get activated 0, or 1 or 2.
okay, I'll throw another one at you. Hotels, we've got hotels where they've got solar PV. I wouldn't classify them as a large scale install. They're around the 90 kilowatt, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that possible to utilise, or not big enough?
Yeah. Solar's, solar has a primary use case, obviously offsetting energy at the site. In terms of being able to utilise it in the market, no, because it's the intermittency piece that's the problem. So we might say, yeah, okay, we can put 90 kilowatts of solar in, but then the sun goes down, or cloud cover comes over, or whatever it is. So that intermittency piece means that, the primary use case of offsetting energy at the site works, but being able to do anything scheduled with it is not available.
Okay. Very good.
And generally, the other thing, solar's making energy when the market is, everyone's making solar energy, right? So the market goes fairly low in terms of pricing or negative. And we're seeing, average midday prices down in South Australia and then in Queensland in summer, for example, is well and truly negative. You're paying to put energy into the market.
Yeah, well, we're finding that hotels have got solar where they're operating, effectively in the middle of the day, and the hotels are quiet. It's the quietest time of the period of the day, and there's no guests there. They're not drawing anything.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a no-brainer with, so other than getting battery storage.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I guess people say, oh, well, we can put battery in to soak up the excess solar. That works it's starting to work in a residential situation, because you've got the arbitrage between the tariffs. So, you look at your residential bill, you might be paying 11 cents at 2 o'clock in the morning, and with GST 50 cents at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you're able to fill the battery with the solar, or at 2 o'clock in the morning, to be able to carry you through that 4 p.m. till kind of 10 p.m. period. There's enough arbitrage there to get a really good payback on the battery. But in most situations with large commercial users, their off-peak might be 8 cents and their peak might be 14, kind of thing. So you don't have that same arbitrage to be able to do that.
Very good.
Great.
Anybody else? No?
Trevor, you were saying about that site with the generator, it's like a remote location?
Dialing up, software dialing up.
Oh, so they've got a generator for the full site, not just essential.
Yeah, we could definitely look at that.
If you're talking about the generator, it would be a generator that can supply the full site, essential and non-essential, correct?
Yeah, it doesn't have to. I mean, all we're doing is whatever the generator can produce, we're just dropping the load at the site. Okay, so it's not like we're dispatching the generator into the market at the site, as such. All the market sees is, oh, your baseline is X, you've managed to drop by 700 kVA or whatever it is. So it just needs to dispatch into the site, doesn't need to take the whole thing over. It's just subsidising the draw from the grid.
Well, that's handy to know then, because we've got a lot of hotels that are smaller generators, just looking after their essential services, or running a lift.
Right.
We've got, I know Novotel Darling Harbour's got a 350 kVA.
Yeah.
But there are sites just power up, or decide to power up essential services, that's it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think
We can definitely have a look at that. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's all done on a baselining mechanism. So provided there's it's offsetting some type of baseline load, you'd be able to contribute that to the overall program, and then obviously we would aggregate that up to the overall size required to bid.
So our ESG commitments about not burning diesel.
Wow, there's this.
flying out the window.
Well, I didn't talk about the EBIT kind of falls away, the S and Gs. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much. I appreciate
No,
your time.
great. No, thank you.